Hello future professionals, welcome to day 19 of our top 100 coding question analysis. Today we are challenged with the question to find the frequency of all different types of elements present in the given list. Before we proceed, we shall look at the logic and have a hands-on experience of solving the problem. First, let's start by indexing the list. The index starts from 0 and goes on till n-1. And we know that the length of the list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The length of the list is 10. Next, we initialize 4 different counters, that is alphabet counter, number counter, space counter, and symbol counter. Right? We have 4 different counters. Each are initialized to 0 because when we start the program, we do not encounter any of the elements. So let's start by selecting each element from the list. First, we select the element that is present in the index 0. We get it as A. So it belongs to alphabet. So we increment the alphabet counter by 1. We get 1. Next, we move on to the next element. We get B. So we increment the alphabet counter by 1. It becomes 2. Next, we encounter C. So we increment the alphabet counter by 1. We get 3. Next, we encounter 1, which is a number. So we increment number counter by 1. We get 1. Next, we encounter 2. So we have to increment the number counter by 1. We get 2. Next, we encounter 3. So we increment the number counter by 1. We get 3. Next, we encounter a symbol. So we increment the symbol counter by 1. We get 1. Next, we encounter a space. So we increment the space counter by 1. We get 1. Next, we encounter a symbol. So we increment the symbol counter by 1. We get 2. Next, we encounter a space. So we increment the space counter by 1. We get 2. Now let's check it manually. We have 3 alphabets, 3 numbers, 2 symbols, and 2 spaces. And the interesting part is that if we add all these counters, we must get the length of the list. That is 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, 8 plus 2 is 10. We have successfully completed our hands-on experience with solving the problem. The logic is that we classify the elements into 4 groups, that are alphabets, numbers, symbols, and spaces. We start by selecting each character from the list, check whether it belongs to any of these classifications. Once the element satisfies the condition, we increment the respective group's counter by 1. Now that we have understood the logic of the program, let's start coding. First, let's start the program by defining a function to get the user's input. I name the function getUserInput. Here, let's get the length of the list from the user. Let's now initialize an empty list to the elements variable. Next, we append the elements entered by the user to the elements list one by one. Next, let's return the elements list. The second function in the program will be to find the frequency of the elements. I name the function frequency finder and it gets the parameter as elements. In here, we get the length of the list using the length method. Next, we initialize alpha, number, space and symbols to 0, where they are the counters for alphabets, numbers, spaces and symbols respectively. Next, we use the for loop to iterate through the list, that is, selecting each element from the list and check whether it belongs to any of the group. Once the group is identified, we increment the respective group's counter by 1. Next, let's print the number of alphabets, numbers, spaces, and symbols using the print statement. Now that we have defined all our functions, it's time we call those functions. Let me call the getUserInput function and store the return value in the elements variable. Next, let me call the frequency-finder function and pass the elements as the argument. Now let's check for any errors or warning signals. We have no errors or warning signals, so let's run the program. The program is asking me the length of the list. Let me enter 10 as the input. And the elements would be the same as what we have practiced in the hands-on experience. We get the output. The number of alphabets is 3, the number of numbers is 3, the number of spaces is 2, the number of symbols is 2. Thus, we have successfully completed our program. I hope that you would have got the best out of this video. I recommend you subscribing our channel to get more such interesting videos. I also recommend you to like and share the video if you find this useful and interesting.